pledge, I would like to welcome students who represent our safety patrol. These are students from all of our elementary schools across the district. We ask that they come on in and stand up front here with us and lead us in the pledge. We are missing our secretary, so we have asked Mr. Hubler to be our acting secretary today. So if I could please get a roll call.
All right, Hillary Day.
Present.
Mary Hilton.
Present.
Hubler is present. Adam Lipsky. Present. Karen Ross is absent. Amy Servio. Here. Terry Spencer. Here. 6 members.
Thank you so much. If I could please get an approval of the agenda for May 28th, 2019.
I'll make the approval.
I have a motion by Mrs. Servio. Any support?
Support.
Support by Mrs. Hilton. Roll call vote, please.
Amy Servio.
Yes.
Mary Hilton.
Yes.
Hubler votes yes. Hillary Day.
Yes.
Adam Lipsky. Yes. Terry Spencer.
Yes.
6 yes.
On to our presentations. So for this past spring, it has been very exciting for our broadcast and journalism classes over at the Pango Center. Many awards from both the students and their fearless leader, who is with us today. He's actually with us at every board meeting as he also works for LCPS TV. But I don't want to steal any thunder. Director John Haas is here to introduce Mr. Michael Kaufman for this evening.
It's an honor, and I hope Michael can get out behind the camera here in a moment and meet me up here. But I asked a student of his earlier this week, actually earlier today, to just give me some words on Mr. Kaufman. And the thing that stood out the most to me that the student said was that he's invested in his students. And to a lot of us, maybe out in the real world, investment a lot of times goes along with finances and the financial world. And diversifying your investments can reach your highest earnings. And in the educational world, I think diversified is coined differentiation. And when you walk into Mr. Kaufman's classroom, his curriculum is differentiated every single day. Whether he's challenging the really high-level student who's been there 2-3 years with him, to the student who's just starting out, who may not even know the difference between a camera and a keyboard. You walk into his classroom, he gives students choices. Do you want to review for this quiz? Do you want to work on the video that's due Friday? Or do you want to work on that collaboration that's maybe due next month? He empowers his investments. He empowers his students. I've seen it for a long time. There are students here who have been a part of his program here to honor him that have seen it for a year or 2 or 3. But finally, I think the educational community is taking notice of Mr. Kaufman. This year, he was honored at DAFT, which is an acronym for Digital Art, Film and Television, as their 2019 Teacher of the Year. And just recently, he also was honored this year at the Courageous Persuaders competition, where he was honored by the Wall Street Journal as the Courageous Leader of the Year. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Mr. Kaufman.
I asked the board if it would be okay if I could just say a few things about my students real quickly. It's been a really special year, and first and foremost, I just wanted to thank the board for this recognition and for their continuous support throughout my tenure as a teacher. I want to thank my building admin for always keeping an open door and for always being available to help our students. And I want to thank my parents because they came all the way from Florida and they're leaving tomorrow and wanted to be here for this, and I can't thank them enough for pretty much everything. And to me, teaching isn't a one-way street. Teachers just don't give information and students absorb it. It just doesn't work like that. I've been fortunate enough to have a few of my students for 4 years and have them excel, but not just as individuals, but as a group. They come together and they meet before class starts just so they can get together because they enjoy each other's company. They formed a bond. And I know from having groups like this that this bond will last them a lifetime. And it's really amazing. It's a special group indeed. I gave the board a spreadsheet of all of their accomplishments this year so they could see it. Unlike most groups, we put our work up to be judged multiple times in multiple arenas. And to succeed in multiple platforms is extremely difficult. And these kids made it look easy, and it's not. Here's a very brief look at some of their accomplishments in a very brief snapshot this year. Just this year alone, Manufacturing Day started us off with a $1,000 prize for our students. Jack and Lauren are here as part of that team. The Michigan Interscholastic Press Association, or MIPA, we swept almost every category we entered with either a first or a second, and sometimes both. In the Digital Arts Film and Television Competition, where they host the Michigan Scholastic Film Festival, at the Detroit Institute of Arts, we have at most had 2 films shown there. This year we had 5. At Skills USA, where we just never really knew what was going on, we decided to enter it and see what would happen for the first time in 12 years, and we took first in the state. In Courageous Persuaders, there are over 700 entries from over 42 states. There are 900 plus students who get involved in this. To get a grand prize once is very, very, very difficult. They did it twice. It's Shane Verkest took the State Farm Fan Favorite in his sophomore year, took the grand prize in his junior year, and teamed with Lauren Bayless and Jack Braithwaite to accept the Detroit AdCraft Award for 2000 this year, totaling $9,000 in prize monies and 3 years of competition from those folks. Noah Hudson Peralta, who isn't here, has not only had his films featured on PBS NewsHour as a sophomore, but he recently was contracted by Spalding Basketball to put together their ad campaign for Kobe Bryant. And his film was featured as part of Spalding's ad campaign on Instagram. And they liked it so much they contracted him for 10 more sessions. These are kids in high school. And like every group, there's a member who works tirelessly and doesn't get enough recognition. Tonight I wanted to surprise Lauren Bayless. Lauren, come up here for a second. Lauren, in many ways, is kind of like the group mom, although she didn't take that title, but she is. She takes care of things that need to be taken care of that nobody else kind of sees. She sees the big picture. As a female student in a traditionally male industry, Lauren was awarded by the Michigan Department of Education and the Office of Career and Technical Education recognition for exemplary work, for success in a career and tech ed program that is non-traditional for her gender, and for making a contribution towards increasing awareness of non-traditional career options. So Lauren is an unsung hero who usually works hard, who continuously works hard, and produces outstanding work. So congratulations to Lauren. certificate for you in my backpack right there, so I'll get that. And I wanted to thank you once again to the Board of Ed for allowing me the opportunity to shine a light on this incredible group of students. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mr. Kaufman. Yes. It's like student of the month for you.
Student of the month, yes. Let's do Mr. Kaufman first.
I'd just like to take a second to talk a little bit about Mr. Kaufman. I've had some personal experience with Mr. Kaufman in regards to how dedicated he is to his classroom and to his students. And I think what we just saw is a perfect example. Here we are to celebrate him, and he turns it around to celebrate his students. And that is truly encompassing of what he does. I praise his department and I praise his classroom every opportunity and chance that I can, because he truly produces students who are ready to go into the industry. So I couldn't be happier to award you with this award, couldn't be happier to celebrate him this evening. So thank you, Mr. Kaufman.
And now we're going to move on to honoring our students. We have the opportunity October through May to recognize our students who are going above and beyond. And we are going to be starting this year's Student of the Month with L'Anse Creuse High School North, Principal Kim Roski.
Thank you, Board of Education and Central Office Administration, for having us here tonight to showcase our students. And this evening, I'd like to start with Miss Carol Hostler. She's our Community Service Coordinator, who definitely goes above and beyond in our building, helping all of our students as she recruits volunteers, and she seeks out opportunities for our students to earn their community service hours, whether it's from making blankets for children at the hospital, or greeting cards for people staying in nursing homes, or it may just be collecting some funds to go out and actually purchase supplies for the military or just people in need. She just definitely goes above and beyond. She's always decorating the bulletin boards, trying to attract people and students to help out. So please welcome Miss Hostler to introduce her Student of the Month.
I'm always amazed when people talk so kindly of me, because you never know. So before I begin, I have notes because I ramble quickly. I have glasses because, 22 years in high school does that. So, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. You'll be next, right? So, well, good evening and welcome everyone. And I'm so proud to be here this evening because I can't wait to honor my Student of the Month for L'Anse Creuse High School North Community Service Learning is Mr. Michael Bell. Michael and I have been together since he was in the 9th grade. Michael came to High School North with a true passion with working through the L'Anse Creuse Community Coalition, and he keeps that passion alive with us. Michael has been an amazing asset to our district's annual Dialogue Day, from working on their programs that will be discussed, as well as overseeing the actual activities of the day, and this year as a senior, he hosted the event. Michael was involved with theater and TV broadcast, which, congratulations, which he was thoroughly fond of, and he looks forward to continue that in college. Michael has logged more than 300 hours of community service, coalition events, local churches outreaches, and he has even a few unlogged hours where I'm sure he has worked tirelessly with Michigan Works program. He's been in training now in their peer committee and working with teen leadership and their empowerment group. Tonight, enjoying this moment with Michael is his father, Norm Bell, and he's with us in the back. And I can assure you that we agree that Michael is driven by unknown sources. He is unknown in protecting his community and its members. He is driven completely by the idea that all communities need help and guidance, continue to grow, be productive, and that we must set an example and not just complain about the change, but be a part of the action and take control of the future. Michael is looking forward to attending Macomb Community College and seeking out social work services, preferably in counseling, is what he shared with me this evening. So it is my pleasure to be with you tonight, Michael. Thank you. I'll just stand in the front. It's okay. You know, this is always the most awkward.
I'm going to ask you to scooch that way. Center it. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hassler and Michael. Next up from our Social Studies Department, Mr. Mike Lynch will be introducing our Social Studies Student of the Month. Mike's been teaching at L'Anse Creuse High School North for a number of years. He's been part of many school activities, including Quiz Bowl. He goes above and beyond in the department as part of teacher advisory, as well as taking on the last couple of years a new AP class and having a split class that's been very challenging. So we appreciate that from Mike. Please welcome Mr. Lynch.
Thank you to the Board of Education. It is my honor to call up here Joanna Alexander to come on up, the Social Studies student. Joanna is taking AP Economics, and I don't know how many of you realize or how many of you had the chance to take economics in college. When I went there, they called it a Weeder course. It was the course you had to take if you wanted to get into a business school, and much like organic chemistry to be a doctor. They designed that course to be hard because if you were going to get into a business school, you were going to do well in this course. And Joanna's taken not only microeconomics, but macroeconomics. Unlike any other AP course here offered, we teach two in one semester. We teach one semester of each. So she has gone above and beyond, not just to take AP microeconomics, but AP macroeconomics as well. She's the type of student who you might recognize her from some of her work in her musicals as well, but she brings that same outgoing, I'm going to ask a question, I'm going to be involved, I'm going to make sure I do my best that makes her a success on the stage, makes her a success in the classroom. And when I told her, she had come in to ask me a question, and again, she's so great and hardworking, but it just made me laugh because I went to tell her, yes, I've chosen you to be the student of the month, and she's like, really? Really? And she deserves it. Even when she doesn't, that first thought isn't, who, me? Because she's that hardworking, she does that well, she asks that great of questions in a course that most people would be scared off by. Not Joanna. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
you again, Mr. Lynch, and congratulations, Joanna. Before I move on to introduce for L'Anse Creuse High School, I just would like to take a moment to recognize Jack Lindrum. This is the second time he was supposed to be recognized last month as Student of the Month for our PE department. Unfortunately, there was a baseball game. With all the bad weather, they've been rescheduled, and again, this evening, there is a baseball game. So Jack will not be able to attend this evening. But I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of Mr. Nader, who wrote up a little bit of information about Jack and what kind of student he is. He was chosen because of his attitude and commitment. He's taken a number of PE classes, from weight training to team sports. He had his foundations, and when asked why does he continue to take so many PE classes, sometimes people think that's a negative, but to Jack, it's a positive to help keep him physically fit and improve his skill. He's a baseball player, starter, catcher, outfielder for High School North baseball team. He carries a 3.5 at the same time, and they couldn't say enough about his attitude and commitment. So I'd like to congratulate Jack. We will recognize him at the building level. And next up, introducing for Student of the Month, Mr. Tom Moss from L'Anse Creuse High School.
Good evening. Good evening to our members of the board, our superintendent, other members of the Central Board. I'd like to present this evening two outstanding students at L'Anse Creuse High School. I'll start with the first one. He's being recognized for the Community Service Learning Student of the Month, Zachary Seifert. As a senior, Zach has volunteered for over 621 hours of community service. Many of his volunteer hours are from the Fellowship Chapel Church Youth Camp, wheelchair basketball events, and middle school central basketball. In addition, Zach plans to major in broadcasting at Central Michigan University after he completes his early college classes at Macomb Community College. Zach is a respectful and caring young man who has dedicated himself to making his community a better place. It is a privilege to have Zach as the Community Service Student of the Month. Congratulations. Thank you. Not done yet. Our next student being recognized, she is a transfer student from Grosse Pointe North. She came to us, L'Anse Creuse Central High School in January. Jordan Craighead, who is a junior student right now, she is a student council participant, member of the National Honor Society, also a band participant, and she takes a multitude of AP classes. She's just a joy to have around. I've seen her around in action in the school, and she fits right in with everybody. So at this point, I would like to recognize Jordan Craighead, Student of the Month.
introduce Mr. Haas for Panko Students of the Month.
Well, the National Hockey League has their original 6. I would say Mr. Ken Kramer, our auto technology instructor, is probably one of our original 6. He's been around a while, and I think the thing when you talk to students who have Mr. Kramer, they talk about how he's so much like a father figure for a lot of our students. And I want to bring the big guy up here so he can talk about his honored student, Mr. Ken Kramer.
Good evening. It's nice to see you all again. Nice to see all you folks here. This is actually one of the best parts of my job, is actually acknowledging students that are successful and do well. Mitch is one of these. He has very positive aspects. In the classroom, I find that, there's all sorts of things you can say about young people, but this young man has some very positive aspects. He creative problem solving. He's very good at that. If he's confronted with something that's difficult, he'll do the research, find out what he needs to do, and then see about correcting it and working through it. Now, this is something you may not see all the time in him, but it is one of his more positive traits. Very positive attitude when he approaches things. He has that can-do attitude you really need to approach what we do. Also, too, he's trustworthy and reliable. I can give him a very difficult task and trust that he's going to do it and do it well. And that's a very rare thing in a lot of young people. I find that this is really a positive aspect. Along with that, he has an interesting sense of humor, which keeps you very interested in what he's doing. But in all these things in combination, it makes a very good young man. And I got to say that it was a pleasure to have him in my class, and I'm sure whatever the future brings, probably automotive, he'll do well in it. He's a very nice young man, and a credit to his parents, and a credit to the community and to the school system. So without further ado, come on up. Honoring you Student of the Month. Family, come on.
Speak for the Board of Education and saying thank you to each and every one of you students. It's an honor and a privilege to be up here, but it's your honor, it's your privilege, and we want to celebrate that. Our teachers have thousands of students to choose from, and you were picked. And again, that's an honor and a privilege that we really, truly appreciate. On top of that, I want to thank your parents and caregivers for giving your children the platform to succeed and giving them this opportunity to get up here. So thank you again, parents and students.
So we are going to have a brief recess. We'll come back into session at 7:10. It is 7:10, so we're going to go back into session. Is there any hearing of school district patrons? I see none.
Yes.
Wonderful. Consent agenda. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Any support?
Support.
So I have a motion by Mrs. Serbia, support by Mr. Lipsky. Roll call, please.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Discussion. Mrs. Hilton.
So for our MWBA, how many times a year are we giving past?
Under which is it, can you make number?
I'm sorry, under the purchases, I think it is.
E5?
Yeah.
Yes, E5.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It'll be given 3 times a year.
In what grade?
K-9 in Pellerin.
K through 9?
Yes,
And Pelham?
yes.
Anything else? Any other discussion on the consent agenda? Roll call, please.
Amy Serbio,
Yes.
Adam Lipsky,
Yes.
Hillary DeBay,
Yes.
Mary Dalton,
Yes.
Hubert Rose, yes. Terry Spencer,
Yes.
we have 6 yes votes.
Thank you so much. On to superintendent.
Just brief comments. This could go with board member comment at the end as well, but I'll just briefly state it here just for the record that we are continuing to encourage all policymakers in the state of Michigan to get behind a budget that's very supportive of our K-12 schools. There has been some positive movement on that, but it is it's an appreciated but delayed process at this point because of some attempts to actually look at changing how our schools are funded for the first time in over 30 years. So it's a positive process, I believe, between the legislature and the governor of the state of Michigan, but it is delayed, so any encouragement that anyone wants to provide to support our public schools and support funding for schools, and I think in a well-demonstrated way that they have been underfunded in a variety of ways for many years. I think that recognition is there, and there's a lot of positive support behind that. So I'd just like to encourage that conversation to continue in any way that you see appropriate. Thank you. I'll pick up the next one too, if you mind.
Yes, I was going to say, for the next one, curriculum and instruction is U.S. Army Garrison.
So maybe you could update us on our properties, our sales of properties, because it sounds like maybe we had some movement that even this board isn't aware of.
The only,
We're probably going to have to go back at least 9 months, because I think that's the last time we were updated on anything.
we sold the property on 23 Miles sold for, your offer was accepted, and it was a lengthy process of review after it was accepted, but it did close, and 23 Mile Road is closed. The only property we have outstanding that's for sale right now is the Jefferson property in Harrison Township. I have not heard any movement on that particular piece of property recently.
What did it sell for?
23.
It was the asking price that was in the approved amount from the board when that was approved. I do not have the asking price in front of me, but it did not change from a board approved amount.
About half of what we paid for it, right? Is that correct?
I don't, it was less than the purchase price. That was many years before that, yes.
Can we make this item on the committee of the whole agenda to be updated on all 3 properties? Well, because Pankow, exactly, maybe we can go through, because I believe the board, when we were updated last, we had 3 properties that were kind of in play.
So it sounds like we also don't own the property in Mount Clemens anymore.
Correct.
Can we be updated on that one?
That one, I do remember talking about the disclose, that we closed on it. But yeah, we can tell, I think that's a great idea.
Let's just put them all in a row here.
Can we do that for the next committee of the whole?
No problem.
So-
I have a conversation about all the properties that were either
Correct.
discussed or
Like, let's get
actually sold.
the closing price on 23 Mile, as well as the closing date. Let's get the final, what was the final conversation and discussion about the property adjoined to Pankow? How long has the Jefferson property been listed? What is the current asking price?
What did it cost us to ready it?
There we go. And then the process of the Mount Clemens, what was the final price on the Mount Clemens property, and what was the closing date on that as well?
And exactly where are all of these funds going to? Because $23 million is kind of a lot of money. I understand it's about half of what we paid for it, 20 30 years ago. But even so, I mean, if we're gonna take that big of a loss on taxpayer money, first of all, we definitely need to account for it. I said, and then if we have $23 million that's just added to our budget, where are we putting it? What are we doing with it? Is it allocated to bond money? Is it allocated to new buildings? Is it?
Right, and we can go through the whole thing, but I know 23 Mile Road is allocated, it has to be allocated back to the bond because it was purchased with bond. So I know that that money was allocated back to the bond.
So we have a bond fund with $23 million in it now?
I don't think it's 23 million.
Well, less, of course, all the costs to the real estate agent. Yes, Don?
I think what Superintendent Edoff is referring to, that if bond money is used to purchase property, that has to go back. I believe there's a law that requires that as a matter of option. So I do appreciate the clarification on that. And from what I understand what you said, this all does fall within parameters that the board approved. So I appreciate the effort being and the progress being made. And of course, being updated on that would be timely. And I think providing staff and administration the opportunity to prepare the answers to those questions is only reasonable.
I'll send it out before the meeting, and then there can be discussion at the meeting as well.
It's the timeliness that's concerning for me because all of these things have been happening and it just seems to kind of be not discussed with us or we're not updated. I don't like not being in the know.
Is there any other questions regarding the property from anyone else, any other board members? And do you feel that that's sufficient enough time for you?
Plenty of time, yes, thank you.
Anything else for or from the superintendent?
No, I will.
All right, so we will move on to curriculum and instruction, and before we do, this USA Army Garrison Detroit Arsenal agreement, this was not on our committee of the whole. That there was made mention to this in the Friday notes, so Eric's going to address that.
Yeah, this came in afterwards. The Army brought this to Middle School Central afterwards. This has been a program that's been going on for several years. It's a summer and after-school program that benefits our middle school kids. They partnered with Middle School Central several years ago, since 2011 actually. So it's a recommendation to continue the summer program and then continue the after-school program actually for next year. It is a program for military and Department of Defense dependents first, but then there has been remaining space offered to other district students as well. The cost is quite low and it's been popular and successful. They do after-school character development, support with homework, other things like that. And it's nothing, no change. If you've heard anything about this in the past, it's just a recommendation that the government wants to continue this. They're funded to do this still, and looking for a motion to approve the agreement between the U.S. Army Garrison of Detroit Arsenal and Munster Schools to authorize the continuation of this agreement.
I would like to have this table, please, until our next committee meeting.
Is this a time-sensitive issue?
I believe this is, and I didn't control the timing of receiving this. This came to us, I believe, Andrea, at the same time. I believe this is a summer, this starts sometime after school gets out. I'm not exactly sure when, but it does start after school gets out. It is.
It's time sensitive because our meeting
Is after that, right?
after.
Yeah.
So, we did look up at the committee of a whole in regards to the board operating procedures, which falls under other matters. We did look up the process of tabling something. We did, all of us were under the notion that to table something, you just had to say you wanted to table it, it would be tabled. That is not actually true. To table something, you do need a motion and a second. We do have, yeah, you just need a motion and a second, and then it will be tabled. Yes,
This is something that's been done for years.
Discussion, do we want to jump to some discussion?
Let's have discussion on what?
Yeah, well, we've done this for years. This is nothing new. We've had it for the last.
Do you want to start at the beginning? zero control from the school district. So anything can happen in your school building and you're liable for it, but you have zero control over it. The only thing we're doing is renting out a building and supplying our building, our security cameras, our everything, and our custodians, and zero oversight at all, which means we're not looking at the individuals, the adults involved in this program at all. There's no checks for any of them. Right, Eric? Is that true? There's no checks at all for those individuals, those adult individuals, correct,
Well,
Eric?
any adult that would come in would have to have a background eye check.
Okay, but this contract does not stipulate for that, and I believe that's what got us into trouble last time, right?
Well, that's our policy for all adults that deal with kids, so you're right, it
It's
does
not
not
in this
stipulate.
policy.
It does not
It's
stipulate.
not in this
check.
contract at all.
It's not that they will be checked, but that is a practice for any adult that comes
This
in.
contract has zero protection for Lansbury's public schools in it.
Is this the same contract that's been used year after year after year?
I believe it is, yes.
When was the last time this was reviewed and updated?
I believe this is done yearly.
I'd ask we move forward on this. This was brought up at the meeting of the whole. Not all members were present.
No,
The
this
discussion-
wasn't.
This
This was not.
item was on the agenda.
This item was not on the
No.
agenda for committee of the whole.
They came in,
I'm sorry.
meeting Wednesday.
It was not.
Well, in reading, we all had the opportunity to read through this, and coming prepared to the meeting and asking those questions ahead of time is critical. That is part of the obligation of board members, to come to the meeting prepared.
When was
You mean like know about it now, we discussed it for
Hold
the
on,
whole?
hold on, when was this added to the agenda?
We received it I believe Wednesday. It was added right at that time.
It was added when the agenda was originally posted.
That's on the original posting of this,
On the
yes,
original.
of this particular meeting's agenda, yes.
Okay, so I do have, Mrs. Hilton had requested it be posted, or I'm sorry, tabled. Mrs. Hilton, is that a motion to table?
Yes, it is.
Is there any support? Hearing no support, motion fails.
I motion to have it tabled.
It needs support.
We discussed.
I know, but just say that, something happened.
Well, hearing no support, the motion fails. Is there any other motion in regards to this item?
I make a motion that we approve the arrangement and agreement with the Garrison, U.S. Army Garrison, Detroit Arsenal.
I have a motion by Dr. Spencer. Any support?
I'll support it.
Support by Mrs. Serbio. Any more discussion in regards to this item?
Quick question, has there been an incident in the past that somebody would ask to table this, the reasons why? And why background checks are being brought up?
There was an incident with an adult some years ago in this program, and they were removed by the Army from being associated with this program, yes. But it did not come up.
Was that person background checked?
Yes, it did not come up on that, right.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Terry Spencer,
Yes.
Amy Serbio,
Yes.
Adam Lipsky. Yes. Tom Buechler votes yes. Mary Hilton,
Absolutely not.
Hillary Day,
No.
4 yes votes.
Motion carries. Business and operations.
So keep going.
Okay, general insurance.
Yes.
So, just give me a second. I apologize. Okay, the following items remain unchanged from last Monday. So as discussed.
Can I just say something really quick?
Yep.
I am exceedingly disappointed that the safety of our students is not our first and foremost priority in this district.
In regards to the previous item.
Yes,
Any other discussion?
beyond disappointed.
Any other discussion? All right, business and operations.
There's a motion or recommendation to move on the approval of the swap management plan. It's a yearly approval brought before the board. This involves the 2008 bond issue that was discussed and approved for refinancing at a recent meeting. This is independent from that. Whether or not that bond was refinanced or not, this would still need to be brought in front of the board because the swap, as explained in that conversation with the refinancing, protects the district from variable rates, which is this bond has been on since 2008. There is a agreement, the swap protects the district, keeps it at a fixed rate for the remainder of the payment of the bond, and this is, the board acknowledges that the bond will remain in the swap plan, and I'd like to request that you approve and authorize administration to execute the swap management plan for that 2008 bond for the next fiscal year.
So, any support?
Support.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hilton, support by Mr. Lipsky. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next item, doesn't that have to be a, I have it noted just as action needed, not as roll call, because it's financial, I think it has to be a roll call.
If it's significant, you can do a roll call, so if you feel like it's up to you.
I think we do have to do a roll call. We can roll call it, I'm pretty sure, sorry. No worries. All right, let's roll call, please. Mr. Bueller.
Mary Hill,
Yes.
Tom Lipsky,
Yes.
Hubler votes yes. Hillary Day,
Yes.
Amy Serio,
Yes.
Terry Spencer,
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Thank you. Office supplies bid award recommendation?
Yes, thank you. In normal business, and I've stated this before, look at bidding out contracts that expire with vendors. This is one of those such contracts. There is a bid that the district uses for office supplies for the district. Buildings make these purchases individually, but in order to try to get the best pricing as possible, we had a vendor. The contract was to expire on the end of the school year, so we did go ahead and look at other vendors and open this up. There were 3 people that made bids on this: Kerr Albert, AVE Solutions, and School Specialty. School Specialty is our current vendor. Kerr Albert is a previous vendor from a couple of cycles ago. The bid sheet is attached. The savings that they're using, Kerr Albert came in the lowest at $94,851 is their base bid. This comes from their TIPS national pricing catalog. TIPS is another organization like REMC that produces government and or national and regional pricing, and have been satisfied with their service in years past, and they are the lowest bidder. So the recommendation for Kerr Albert is in the approximate amount of $105,000 to have a $10,000 buffer. There was some conversation about this. It is an overall savings, though, from School Specialty, which was over that for this year and years past. It is a 3-year request with a 1-year option to renew.
Do I have a motion? Any support?
Support.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hilton, support by Mr. Lipsky. Discussion? Is this for the same supplies specifically?
Yes, the list is the same.
Okay.
Yes.
And does the price remain constant?
It does. There is a, let's see,
And then the option here is for,
year 4, that's correct. I believe they hold it for year 4, but we have an option of redoing it at the end of 3 if we would like to move on. They do set if they get increases from the manufacturing, they cannot increase the prices, but they get authorization. If they can document increase from a manufacturer on an item, they can send a notice of 30 days on that.
and what if, because we have had situation in the past where we've been running low on supplies, what if we need to add supplies to this?
I think that we have, I know what this, that means we could go with them and ask for the same pricing on those supplies, but we could go to other vendors for those that are outside of this list as well. We'd have that option.
Awesome, thank
Mary Hilton,
Yes.
Adam Lipsky,
Yes.
Amy Serio,
Yes.
Bugler votes yes. Terry Spencer,
Yes.
Hillary Day,
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Resolution to request a truth budget hearing.
Thank you. Again, another item that's required that we bring in front of the board. This is, we need some prior notice on this because we do need to hold a truth and budget hearing, which is a portion of the budget approval process that, and we have to publish this in a general circulation newspaper at least 6 days before the hearing. We are requesting that the Secretary of the Board of Education authorize and direct the publishing of said notice, which is attached to the 3-box in a newspaper of general circulation. Usually that's the Macomb Daily. The notice will be published at least 6 days before the hearing. And we recommend that the board motion to approve the attached resolution requesting to hold a truth and budget hearing on June 24th, 2019. That would be at our regular board meeting.
Do I have a motion? So moved. Any support?
I support.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hilton, support by Mrs. Serbio. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mary Hilton,
Yes.
Amy Serio,
Yes.
Adam Lipsky,
Yes.
Bugler votes yes. Hillary Day,
Yes.
Terry Spencer,
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Thank you. Other matters, this is the board operating procedures as we discussed in the committee of the whole. This is the final step in the process in regards to updating and reviewing and changing all of our policies. This has taken a little bit of time because section 1.3 did not come back the way that we had hoped it would. So we spent a little bit of extra time in regards to the process of how we would actually amend and change policies. We have received the reading and wording approved by Clark Hill, so we're just asking for approval on the final products. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Support.
I have a motion by Mrs. Serbio with support by Mr. Lipsky. Roll call, please.
Amy Serio,
Yes.
Adam Lipsky,
Yes.
Terry Spencer,
Yes.
Mary Hilton,
No.
Hillary Day,
Yes.
Bugler votes yes.
Other matter number 2, the resolution for designation of electoral representatives for the MASD biannual election. So this is not to elect the individual for the MISD. This is to approve who's going to the election, going to go and represent us at that election. When we, at the beginning of the year, when we picked our committees and representatives, we did assign a lead person and a alternate to this. And the lead board member is Terry Spencer, and Adam Lipsky is the alternate. When we discussed this at committee of the whole, there was a question as to where and when the voting had to take place. Did we find that information out for sure, Nikki?
Yeah, they each have a memo in their mailbox too.
Okay. So there's no each one right now.
Third, between 4 and 7, I think I looked it up.
So June 3rd between 4 and 7.
You can go in.
It's at the MASD.
Yep, and Terry, you're gonna be able to go. So if Terry goes, then Adam, you would not be required to, but if Terry could not, then you would need to step in. So are you both okay with still fulfilling that assignment?
Yes.
So then I need a motion in regards to this.
I'll make the motion.
Support, any support?
I'll support.
I have a motion by Mrs. Serbio, support by Mr. Lipsky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? With 1 nay. Motion carries. Board member comments? We usually start on that, yes,
I have a question on this, though there are only 3 candidates that are
representative is, who the alternative is, but then you have to tell them who you're casting a vote for on behalf of this board.
Okay, that was not what I was advised. Okay. Okay.
There's no, it's an unopposed election.
Okay, is it?
Yes, it is.
So there's 2 vacancies and there's 2 candidates? So we have a big choice to make?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, look, yes, we don't have a conflict of interest in regards to any of this, correct? Okay. So then, being that there are 2 vacancies and that there are 2 candidates, I would need a motion from the board.
Actually, we do have a bit of a conflict of interest because Mr. Helper's on here, and Mr. Helper continues to vote on things that are ISD business or allow the ISD to financially profit from Mr. Helper's schools. So, while we've had a significant conflict of interest for quite some time, it still has never been addressed, and it has never even actually been acknowledged by Mr.
I'd like to make a comment on that. The law clearly states that there is a certain amount of profit that needs to be made before you can reserve your vote, and otherwise I'm obligated to vote. And since this does not meet the level of the law, I'm obligated to vote unless there is by law, a conflict of interest. If the board would want legal opinion on that, I understand, but I try to follow the law wherever it's made. So it's clearly stated what a conflict of interest is, and the ISD is not a for-profit as a group.
Could Mr. Helper please provide the financial threshold of profit?
Well, that's in the law.
So,
I'll bet you it's in the law.
In the attachment here down, there is a law, and that's the law number that's stated.
Yeah, and since I
Is that the law?
want to make a question, it's readily available
Right, is it-
online to see what the law states is what constitutes a conflict of interest.
That's what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, if Mr. Helper could provide the financial
It's
threshold
you.
he speaks of, that would be helpful.
Okay.
I would suggest that being challenged with that it's a conflict, that it should be done independently from my opinion.
We're looking at the school project right now, a school, revised school code.
In the reference, just for context, in the reference section 6.14 of the Michigan School Code, which is referenced in the resolution, it's speaking of the process by which we're going through right now. It is not speaking directly to the issue of finance or conflict. It is about the process of the nomination and approval of the board to send people to vote on these.
So, as I said, because I believe there's been a significant conflict of interest, and Mr. Helper has said that there's a financial threshold which allows him to exercise a conflict of interest to the benefit of the ISD financially, I would like him to please provide the information that he speaks of.
No, I'm saying that's what the law says.
Correct.
The
So
ISD
actually,
is
if the
not-
law says that, please provide that.
So actually,
That
does
I'll let the
fall,
board
that
president.
falls on the burden of the board president, is who that actually falls on, and I will follow up to find that information.
Hillary, if you could make a statement, I would be more than happy to ask you for the information.
Yes.
But that is not the responsibility of any single board member who has not made the statement. If Mr. Hubler is comfortable enough to make a statement that says there's a financial threshold from which he is allowed to exercise a financial conflict of interest and benefit the ISD, then he is certainly responsible to provide that information. Because it is information that in my many hours of research, I have not yet been able to find.
Any
So I
other
will not
discussion?
respect that.
Right, so what is the board needs to do in regards to this item is that we need to
Request that
motion.
Mr. Hubler provides the information from which he speaks.
We need to motion and support that we will be having the 2 candidates who are running, we'll cast our votes for the 2 candidates that are running for the 2 vacancies. Do I have a motion? Right. So first, we have a motion on the floor already by Mrs. Serbu and Mr. Lipsky. That was to approve Dr. Spencer and Mr. Lipsky as our main voter and our alternate. So right now, I'm asking for all those in favor to say regards to the motion by Mrs. Servio, supported by Mr. Lipsky, in regards to sending Dr. Spencer as our main voter and Mr. Lipsky as our alternate. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
We have one opposed. So now I need a motion in regards to having the two candidates for our voter to cast our vote for the two candidates running for the two vacancies.
I'll make the motion.
Any support?
Support.
So I have a motion by Mrs. Servio, support by Dr. Spencer. All those in favor? Aye. Excuse me, those opposed? Motion carries. Do I got everything, Vicki? Yeah. Okay. We're good on that? Yeah. Okay. Board member comment? Do you want to start with you then? We usually start with Devin.
A week ago, the president of the Michigan Association of School Boards, Mark Mikulski, passed away. He's 53 years old and been in a wheelchair for many years because of a timing accident. At that time, they didn't think he'd come out of the hospital. He went on to accomplish tremendous things. He was a county commissioner on his local board and his county board, then president of the Michigan Association of School Boards. This year, he attended the national conference in Philadelphia, and represented the state of Michigan. And to see somebody accomplish all he did in a wheelchair, if people understood what accommodations are made and need to be made for people with needs, it's a reminder that it's that what many people go through is then what we take for granted is a type of strength and uniqueness, and the fact that he accomplished all the things that he did, and his family being there. Was fortunate to attend his funeral where there was no room in a small area of Park, Michigan. There was absolutely no room available for all the people that were there. And it was a broad range of people. So, tremendous accomplishments in his lifetime, a wonderful family, wonderful community, and it speaks to everybody's ability to contribute to their ability. And the classic thing is not how long you live, it's how you live. Thank you.
Dr. Spencer?
Other than I just want to congratulate all of the kids, the different programs that I've attended, the early college graduation, and a lot of the spring concerts, and it's just unbelievable the talents that our kids have. And we're just really blessed with such great staff and students, and this is the best time of the year to celebrate and lift up our students in a big way. And congratulations to all students and their accomplishments.
Thank you. Pretty much my comments as well. It is a busy time of year for us. We have many events that we try to attend and try to get to. If we don't make it to your event, we apologize. There is quite a few, and there's only 7 of us. So we do try to reach as many as we can. We do try to visit as many schools as we can and attend even the kindergarten graduations all the way up to the high school graduations. And we've been doing quite a few. And it's amazing and great to see our students be recognized for their hard work. I think that's a big reason why a lot of us sit up here and a lot of us do what we do. In regards to kind of superintendent made in regards to the state budget, I very much mirror his comments. I do think that the House was somewhat sidetracked by another item in regards to legislation. That's not necessarily an excuse, but I can somewhat understand the delay in the budget. But I find it very interesting that we are not allowed to delay our deadline.
So if the state's going to continue to require us to abide by our deadlines, it would be very helpful and beneficial if they provide us with the information we need to make our decisions in a timely manner as well. So that is all my comments in regards to our members today. Mrs. Fairley, do you have anything?
You said it all.
Mr. Lipsky?
I agree with what you all said.
Mary? The 13th